Catherine, welcome to the program. How are you, my friend?
Fine, thanks. It's a beautiful day, and everything's going well.
So, Catherine, you have an incredible new project. Tell us a little bit about this brand new project.
All right. Well, I'm a novelist, and I like to explore challenging areas. And my latest book is called Sybil Unbound. And it's about, well, it's about the romantic adventures of an older woman. And she's 42 when the book begins, and she thinks she's all washed up and no one will look at her again after her divorce. But she soon learns the opposite, that men are very interested in her, and after that, she goes on having passionate adventures until she's 72 when the book ends during the pandemic. So I don't know if there are really other books that discuss what it's like to be an older woman and who is a passionate and a sexual woman. I haven't seen this in fiction, so I wanted to write it.
That is fantastic. Well, I will attest to the fact that she should have not been worried about men looking at her, after her, for her, or anything like that. That is right up my alley. We have got a great guest with us today. Catherine Hiller is with us today. She's an award-winning writer. She has had pioneering work that's been challenging social mores for decades. She is the author of a brand new book, Sybil Unbound, a bold novel about the sexual adventures of an older woman. And she joins us today here on our big broadcast. So, why did you decide to write this book?
Well, over the years, I had written a number of shorter pieces, and somehow I kind of realized, well, wait a minute, this could be one book about these, which incorporates these shorter pieces and has a narrative arc. So I wanted to bring this bold heroine, Sybil, and that's spelled Cybill. So, to remind you of Sybil Shepherd, who is also an older woman by now, of course, and she was, something of a rogue, a sexual adventurer herself. I didn't know this when I was writing the book, but when I finished, I read Sybil Shepherd's autobiography, and I was stunned. So I do want people to know that it's possible to fall in love at any age and to have great passion in your life, in your 50s and 60s and 70s. It's not that the sex is so spectacular. Young people probably have it better there. But the feelings and emotions, and love is all about emotion, are just as strong, maybe even stronger, when you are a seasoned individual.
We have got a great guest with us today, the fantastic Catherine Hiller is with us today. Sybil Unbound is the latest from her. And in the same spirit as Erica Jong, Dr. Ruth, and Candace Bushnell, Hiller's brand new 10th book breaks the taboo about portraying the sexuality of an older woman, but also challenges the magnanimous situation. Everybody wants to be monogamous, but that's not quite the ideal. So,
I think,
Catherine, talk to us a little bit more about that.
Okay, about monogamy, it probably is the ideal in our society, but it's an ideal that is really hard to maintain, sexual fidelity for, decade after decade. So people are experimenting much more, particularly young people, by which I say people say under 40. There are a lot of people I've heard about, recently someone I know very well, who are trying to open their marriage, by which they mean they are faithful in the deepest sense and that they're committed to a life with somebody, but they find a possibility for joy, sexual joy or emotional joy, with someone else, and they don't want to let that go. So there's a book, a nonfiction book, an excellent book called Women Who Want More, and that explores the theme. I think it's just become part of something that people are talking about today, that what can we do with this institution marriage when people are living so very long and there are so many options out there? And so what my heroine Sybil discovers is that it's certainly possible to have a thrilling relationship. One of her later relationships when she's in her mid-60s is with a man who, for a medical reason, can't have sex, but their emotional tie is tremendous. And And along with emotion, I wanted to just bring up the concept that when you fall in love, there are amazing chemical things that happen to you, that happen in your brain. The secretions of dopamine, norepinephrine, oxytocin. And so all of these things are flooding a human brain when she falls in love and when he falls in love. And those feelings, those chemicals are very strong, and it's really hard to withstand them. So I wrote about a woman who decided not to withstand them, to give in. And so although she is, very happily with one person, she does sometimes have adventures with other people.
Fantastic. We have got the fantastic Catherine Hiller with us today. She joins us live here on our big broadcast. So tell me a little bit about the cover of the book. This is very interesting.
Oh, okay. Well, I wish your listeners could see the book.
Oh, we've got we're going to be putting this up on our website. We also have it. We're also going to be putting this interview up in video form on BitChute, Rumble, Clout Hub, YouTube, hopefully.
That's great.
And
I don't
this,
know how it can be in video form when I'm not being videoed, but let me tell you about the cover of the book.
Yes, let's go.
So,
talk to us, my friend.
What you see is two people, a man and a woman. She's embracing him, and they are both naked, but they're strategically placed. You don't see any actual sex parts, and they are painted. So what happened was, about a year ago, I had the chance to get body painted. That means you have to strip down, and the artist in this case is Andy Golub, who's basically done a lot of body painting and has huge events in New York where hundreds of people come to Union Square, and he and his assistants, they strip down, and they're allowed to by the police. This is an event, and they get painted. So I heard about him, and a mutual friend arranged for this guy to come to our house and to paint not only myself but my husband, who was a little less, into it, but he was fine. And so when I saw this, then I wrote about it for Huffington Post, and when my publisher saw the picture that was taken, she said, "Oh, this is so great. This has got to be the cover of your book." And I said, "Well, wait a minute. No, I'm a novelist. What I write is fiction. I can't have my face on the cover of my own book. But it's fiction. I invent things, So what we did was we actually did a little Photoshop work, and we used another woman's face on it. But actually, for those who care, you can see my naked arm, and you can see my husband's very lovely face.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that's the cover, and I'm really thrilled with the cover. It's just a very exciting, dynamic cover.
We have got Catherine Hiller with us today. Sybil Unbound is the latest from her, and she joins us today here on our big program. And Catherine has never basically shielded herself from controversy. Her earlier work includes contributing pieces to Penthouse magazine and a piece 5 decades ago in the New York Times about gender role reversal. Her very first novel depicts a happily married woman who unexpectedly falls in love with another woman, and one of her previous novels, Skin, Sensual Tales, was praised by John Updike as good, brave, and joyful fiction. In a 2015 New York Times profiled her after Just Say Yes, a marijuana memoir. So you write all sorts of fantastic things, my friend. You should be applauded for all of this. I love this.
Well, good. Clap away. That's fine. I feel that unless I am writing something a little unusual or against the grain, I don't have too much desire to finish it. So mainly I write to sort of explore new ideas, both in fiction and you mentioned my memoir, which was called Just Say Yes, a marijuana memoir. It was published only 8 years ago, and things have changed so much since then. So when I was publishing it, pot was basically illegal except for in 2 or 3 states out west. It was considered a shameful thing to do, and I wanted to get people past the shame. To me, it's a very useful, marijuana is a very useful, mild stimulant, and it's been part of my life for many, many years. And so I really wanted to write that book from a place of pride. Like, I'm happy I've been smoking pot all these years. No, it has not led to anything stronger. No, I don't regret it. Most drug narratives have an arc where people, start using and then it gets worse and then, oh my God, they go to jail or they're on the street or they're homeless and then they repent and now they have a good, clean life. I didn't want that at all. I wanted people to know that there are other narratives around marijuana. And so when my latest book, Sybil Unbound, I also wrote it to kind of explore these new ideas about monogamy, new ideas about women coming to their own maybe when they're over 40 or 45. There's been, you're probably aware of the reboot of Sex and the City. So in the new series, and just like that, these are women, 50s, 60s, seeking love, and you see them in passionate embraces. And I think that's wonderful. I think that really reflects who we are, instead of women feeling they were all washed up at 30. No, don't think that for 1 second. You are capable of deep, deep love, and you are capable of being loved deeply, too.
That is fantastic. It is a great guest with us today. Catherine Hiller is with us. Check out our website, catherinehiller.net. She also has a Substack, The Pleasure Principle, Savoring Life After 50. And we have got the fantastic author of Sybil Unbound with us today here on our big program. So, what do you want readers to take away from your writing?
The sense of possibility and joy. Those are the things that readers should take away. Of course, I want them to be engrossed in the book and to want to turn pages and to find out what happens to this woman. Does she ever have to pay for it? And in certain senses, in certain chapters, she does. There's one chapter where, somebody comes by, a stranger, they have him, and he wants to interview her about something, and he's much younger. And she thinks, oh, well, and he starts flirting with her. And so, she's drawn to him. She has the chance. She knows she won't see him again, but maybe it's something she should pursue. But by the end of the chapter, you realize something completely different has been going on. And so, once in a while, it's kind of fun to pull the rug out from under the characters and under the readers, too. So it's like, wait a minute, I didn't think this was going to happen.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
It is Catherine Hiller. She's with us today here on our big broadcast. Sybil Unbound is the latest from her, and she joins us live here on our big program. So one of the things that, Ed, I'll tell you, you seem like a cool chick, so I don't think you will be offended by any of this. But I know that there are people in my audience that I'm assuming will clutch their pearls the minute I say this. But one of the things that has been happening.
No, I understand. There are really
segments
of the American public that probably this book, it might not be for them, but for the more adventuresome people, or for the people that have lusted in their hearts. Well, maybe that's fine to lust in your heart and keep it there, but you could always read a sexy, spicy novel, and have some fun with it. So that's, Sybil Unbound is that book for those women who are thinking, gee, if only, if only I could, if only I were bold enough. Well, Sybil is bold enough for you, so maybe you can live a little through her.
Well, one of the things that I was getting ready to say, which, like I said, there's going to be a lot of people in this audience that is probably going to be clutching their pearls. But one of the things that has happened over the last, I don't know, probably 6 months or so, is that me and my significant other have been going to what they call lifestyle clubs. Basically swingers clubs.
Oh my goodness!
And one of the things that I have noticed is that there are a lot of older women, and they are not they are not having to worry about getting any action at these places.
Right. I think women. Don't forget that an older woman will probably be with an older man. She's not perfect. He's not perfect. They're older. They're seasoned. They want to get beyond that. They want to. Well, I'm afraid I'm not at all familiar with the swingerish world. I guess the most I would do would be go to a cuddle party. There are some of those.
That is awesome. A cuddle party.
Cuddle party.
I hope there's pizza. We
I'm not sure about the food, but the dress code is pajamas.
That is awesome.
People come up in their, nightgowns and pajamas,
fantastic.
and they cuddle, and they're not allowed to touch in sexual places. So this is such an interesting idea. I think I'm very intrigued by that.
Yes. Sybil Unbound is the latest from Catherine Hiller. She's with us today here on our big broadcast. So, why an untraditional romantic needs of middle-aged and older women are ignored in novels? Because you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
that you've looked and they ain't
Right.
happening, baby.
I really don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that my book will maybe get other people to also explore this unexplored topic. It's funny because not only are there, so many dozens of wonderful women writers over 50, but the readers are also over 50 too. There are many, many readers, So it is a puzzle. It's a bit of a puzzle why these older women novelists are not writing, novels for an audience that may be more mature and that will love to find that their own romantic feelings are being validated in a book. So I am really surprised that this is not a subject that has been explored, but I'm hoping to find allies, other women who are writing about this, or men who are writing about older men. But there's a lot more about older men and younger women, but I would be more interested in reading about older men and older women.
Yes.
But anyway, I don't know why this has not been covered before. But in a way, that was a greater inspiration for me to write it. No one's done this. I've got to do it.
That is fantastic. We have got a great guest with us today. Catherine Hiller is with us today. She has Sybil Unbound. It is a fantastic read, and she's with us today here on our big broadcast. Now, one of the things you mentioned about the cover is that it's you and your husband in these, as my grandmother would say, painted get-ups.
I don't think your grandmother knows about body painting, but go ahead.
Talk to us a little bit about your own marriage of 22 years to a man that is 16 years your junior.
Yeah. Well, my first husband left me for another woman, and, this was devastating. I had 3 children, and in my happy little bubble, I thought we had a happy little marriage, but no. So he wanted something else, and when he left the house, I said, well, what did I do? And then I realized that I have always loved to dance, but my ex-husband did not. So I went to something called a Zydeco dance. Now, Zydeco...
That's awesome. Yes, Zydeco, baby.
Right? I didn't know. I had no idea what it was, but I knew it was near me, and I could go, and I could come home, and no one would stop me, so I did. Would you believe that at that very first dance, I met the man who was to be my future husband? And so I had a feeling he was younger, but I was a little shocked to find out that he was 16 years younger. But, love crosses all, gaps. And when we realized, that this joy we had in each other, this love for each other, was not ending and was getting more serious and so on, we began to take it, we were exclusive. And then after 6 years or so of courting, we got married. And so now we've been married for 22 years. 23? Almost 23, yeah. Long time.
That is awesome.
So it's been wonderful that it worked out that this unconventional pairing, and we were unconventional in more than the age way. We were different religions, different, backgrounds, but that it's worked out so well. And to this, just a moment ago I was with him, and he's just this wonderful guy. He's really athletic. He's a triathlete. And so, it's lovely to look at him, but it's
That's
even
awesome.
better to be with him.
That is awesome. Catherine Hiller with us today. Check out CatherineHiller.net for more information. She has got several great books out there, including her latest, Sybil Unbound. She joins us today here on our big program. So why women over 45 and into their 70s and beyond can still enjoy making love? Talk to us a little bit about this.
Well, my aim, my concentration is not so much on making love, even though there are different episodes and different lovers in this book, Sybil Unbound. I don't really write too much about sex. I kind of, get close and then go somewhere else, because that can be a little icky. So my emphasis is not on that, but I will say that women basically and I'm thinking now of my friends somewhat, I think it's very important. This is really a time when use it or lose it is relevant, particularly to women. I mean, men have different aids and so on, but there are women who, if they haven't made love in the normal way or in, sexual intercourse, after a while they get kind of smaller and it becomes much, much more difficult. So it's really, I like to write about deep feelings, deep stirrings, and that include sexuality. But supposing Sybil had not had sex for, say, 5 years, it might not be as easy for her to start again.
We have got.
I do think it's important to keep it up. Now, it's true that, we all different people. Some people have a stronger sex drive, and it's more important to them. Others can really go decades without it. So not everybody's the same. I am a person for whom sex is very important and sensuality. And so, I've arranged to have that in my life. And I'm pretty old myself, but it's nice being married to a younger man.
We have got a great guest with us today. Catherine Hiller is with us. She is fantastic. She's got the website catherinehiller.net. She also has an amazing collection of books, including her latest, Sybil Unbound. She's with us today here on our big broadcast here on the telephone. So talk to me about how women should feel permission to seek out the relationship style that works best for them.
Well, of course they should. I mean, we are individuals. We determine the lives we lead. We're not just passive. So I think that it's important for a woman who, has found someone she likes to let herself explore it. And particularly, you might meet someone who's so different from your last person or the person you think you're going to end up with. But I would say be open to love, be open to adventure, and see what works for you. Because what ended up working for me was completely different from anything I would have thought, And yet it's worked out incredibly well. So, yes, of course women should give themselves permission to seek joy. That's really my message. Seek joy in whatever you do, of course, in your relationships. But I have this Substack called The Pleasure Principle. And in that, I sort of write every week a little essay on some aspect of pleasure. And it can be, one of mine was called The Big O. What makes it so big? And the others have nothing to do with sex. I wrote a piece about pockets, the pleasure of having pockets, and how most women's clothes don't have them. So I do like to explore different aspects of pleasure, and or my latest one was just about a car I love, an old beat-up beach car. Anyway, so there's all kinds of ways we can bring joy into our lives. But of course, for me, men are paramount.
That is awesome. That is fantastic. We have got Catherine Hiller with us today. CatherineHiller.net is the official website. The latest book is Sybil Unbound, and she joins us today here on our big program. So as we wrap up here with you, my friend, what is next for you as an author?
I'm considering 2 different novels, but I'll just tell you about the one because it's unusual. And again, I have to go where people haven't gone before. This book is called The Other Woman. It's from her point of view. She is involved with a married man, and she wants him to stay married. She doesn't want any more of him than she's getting. So she does all these things to strengthen his marriage. And some of them work, some of them don't. But it's such an interesting idea, I thought. Like, how would she do this? She suggests they go dancing, and they do it. It helps bring them together. She suggests that he bring flowers, and he brings the one flower that makes his wife cough, or she's allergic to it. So sometimes the other woman has a good idea, and sometimes not. But I did want to write it from the point of view of a person who would be normally considered the villain, right? The other woman. But she's in a different role in my new book, which I haven't written a word of, by the way.
We have got a great guest with us today. Joins us live here on our big broadcast, coast to coast and border to border on iHeartRadio today. Also AM/FM 247.com. Sybil Unbound. Catherine Hiller has been our guest. Catherine, you are amazing. Thank you for making some time for us today. Thanks for coming on and chatting. And
thank you so much for having me. This was great. I really enjoyed this.
You are amazing, and I hope to do this again. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day, my friend.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, my friend. There she goes. That is Catherine Hiller, and she joins us today here on our big, big broadcast.